Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcast.
My name is Christopher Felice, and welcome to another episode of the Heroes of Fantasy Football Podcasts. I am your host and the only person on the show tonight, so without further ado, we're just going to kick off right into our waiver show of the week. Going to try to blast right through these. So first, we got the quarterback position. We got Justin Fields and Andy Dalton, who we're going to take a look at today. Justin Fields, 32% ownership on Yahoo Fantasy, going up against the Dallas Cowboys this coming week. His stats last week were 34% attempts, 22 completions, 312 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble, 10 rush attempts for 55 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Andy Dalton, we got 14% ownership on Yahoo Fantasy, going up against the Chicago Bears this coming week. And his stats this past week, for 37 attempts, he had 26 completions, 319 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. These two guys looking pretty good coming into the season. I got to be honest with you, Justin Fields is a bit of a surprise to me. He just keeps kind of chugging along. I would say both these are worthwhile pickups. I think Justin Fields has done enough to prove that he is kind of this solid guy moving forward with your season. If you need a quarterback, you can start him there pretty confidently. I think he's definitely earned that sort of title. I think. On the side of Andy Dalton, right, it's more of a matter of time. How long will the Andy Dalton era last? You know, I've been saying it for a while now. Some people think it's going to last a pretty long time. I'm more on the fence. I don't know how long it's going to last, but going up against the Chicago Bears next week, he'll probably have another good week, so definitely a solid pickup. I'm definitely putting more fab money into Justin Fields, but I can definitely see the case for Andy Dalton. Moving on to the running back position. We got 4 guys we're going to take a look at. Number 1 is kind of a surprise considering that his running mate also had a fantastic game last week. Justice Hill, rostered in 14% of leagues on Yahoo Fantasy, going up against the Bengals this coming week. He was 4 for 18 on the ground. That's 4 rushing attempts, 18 yards. However, he went 6 for 6 in the air for 78 yards and a touchdown. There's a lot of upside there. Considering that Derrick Henry is not like the most involved in the passing game, it seems that they're going to utilize Justice Hill. This seems like a really, really solid pickup for a flex spot if you need it because of bye weeks, because of injuries, knowing that that's kind of around the corner. I mean, this week we got the first set of bye weeks coming up. So definitely something to look at moving forward. Moving on to Kareem Hunt, rostered in 36% of fantasy football leagues on Yahoo, going against the New Orleans Saints this coming week. He had 14 rushing attempts for 69 yards on the ground and caught 2 of his 3 targets for 16 yards in the air. I think the question is answered on who is going to be the guy while Pacheco is out. It is seeming like it's Kareem Hunt. Carson Steele kind of got phased out, especially after he had a fumble early on that game. It seems that Kareem Hunt is the guy. Definitely pick him up. Completely understandable. I'm not sure if I waste a lot of fab on him, personally, knowing he's on a timer, to be quite honest with you. I don't know if this is more of a trap. I don't think he's going to be the worst. You're not going to get prime Kareem Hunt. That's not happening. Don't think about that. That's not the case here. But you could definitely get a serviceable guy here. Moving on, we got Trey Sermon. I know, a bit of a surprise. Let me explain. Going in at 1% ownership in Yahoo Fantasy League, going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was 5 for 8 on the ground. The only reason why I'm even mentioning him is because JT has a high ankle sprain. He might not play this coming week. If you need a backup and people are on bye weeks, this is going to be probably your guy. I would actually take a look at the entire running back room on the Colts and find whoever seems to be the number 1 guy. I'm putting Trey Sermon here mostly as like this sort of placeholder. I would really consider every single option there at the Colts if JT does not play. Moving on, we have Rico Dowdle at 49% of Yahoo percentage in fantasy leagues. Going against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 11 for 46 on the ground, and he caught his 1 target for 15 yards and a touchdown. Rico Dowdle seems to be outperforming Zeke by a reasonable margin. The Cowboys, this is kind of like deja vu to an extent with what happened to Tony Pollard. While nowhere near as explosive, Tony Pollard kind of like blew up a bit when he was on the field. I wouldn't call this blowing up, but definitely is serviceable. So definitely to keep a lookout into this. A solid flex if you need him. Personally, for me, I'm focusing my fab on Justice Hill, then Rico Dowdle, followed by Kareem Hunt, then probably followed by Trey Sermon or anyone in that Colts backfield. Moving on to the wide receiver position. We got 4 guys, a lot of interesting talking points here in terms of moving forward. The first guy, we got Trey Tucker. At 9% ownership in fantasy on Yahoo, going against the Denver Broncos this coming week. Caught 5 of his 6 targets for 41 yards, and then rushed for 3 yards, gaining also a touchdown at that drive. Definitely a really interesting situation considering the whole drama right now with Devontae Adams. Possibly not going to be there. Definitely leaves some sort of power vacuum going on for someone to take over. It could be Trey Tucker. He does not look bad at all. I would definitely take the shot on him. Stash him in your lineup if you can. I think this is a fantastic, I feel like low risk stash. He's widely available in all leagues. You probably don't have to spend a lot of fab on him to get him compared to some of these other guys I'm about to talk about. I would consider picking him up. I think it's a good idea. Moving on, we have the one, the only, the Candleman himself, Dontavian Wicks. That's right. Crazy that I can't even referencing him right now. Dontavian Wicks at 14% ownership in Yahoo Fantasy Leagues, going up against the LA Rams this upcoming week. He, this past week, caught 5 of 13 targets for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, let's kind of break down the situation here, right? First, 13 targets is an awesome thing to see. The fact that he only caught 5, it leaves a lot to be desired. But 78 yards on 5 targets, on 5 receptions is pretty good. Also, 2 TDs is also pretty fantastic. In the void of Christian Watson most likely missing time, there needs to be someone behind Jaden Reed because Jordan Love loves to diversify the sort of the passing game. He does not have this dedicated superstar supreme. I think that's why the Packers offense is so good. It's because they're able to successfully diversify targets between many receivers. It makes them unpredictable. It keeps the defenses guessing. Take advantage. Pick up Dontavian Wicks. I can't believe I'm saying that. Richie, congrats to you. May the Candleman make you proud. Moving on to Josh Downs at 21% ownership on Yahoo Fantasy Leagues, going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. This past week, he caught 8 of his 9 targets for 82 yards and 1 touchdown. Joe Flacco is definitely a very interesting prospect in terms of this Colts offense. It looked rejuvenated. Michael Pittman was doing well. Josh Downs did well. It looked like the passing game was finally rolling. I'd be hesitant on the Josh Downs. I would throw fab on him, not too much, nothing too crazy, nothing over like $8 of fab on him. That's be what I would recommend personally. I don't blame you for wanting to take the risk, but I think I'd rather take the risk on Wicks or Trey Tucker rather than Josh Downs. Moving on to Tutu Atwell, who is our last wide receiver here. 8% ownership in Yahoo Fantasy Leagues, going up against the Green Bay Packers this coming week. He caught 4 of his 6 targets for 82 yards. Once again, this is kind of a shot in the dark, hoping that one of these LA Rams receivers kind of lands. It really goes to show how, I don't know if it's lucky or skilled, that the Rams are able to pinpoint and find and pick Puka Nacua last year to replace Cooper Kupp while he was injured last year. It really just goes to show just how, while deep, yes, how actually shallow that room is in terms of skill, in terms of consistency, because truthfully, it's tough to find one player there that's actually able to put up any sort of numbers that you would even want at a wide receiver 2, let alone in your flex spot. It's tough. It's really tough if you are a Rams stockholder in either Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp. I'm sorry, I feel you. I'm the same way in multiple leagues actually. So yeah, it's tough. I know, but can I power through? Tutu Atwell is just another bet, another, like I said, shot in the dark with that DeMarcus Robinson sort of thing as well. These angles are going to get a little weird. Hopefully, light at the end of the tunnel. Cooper Kupp is not going to play this week, but hopefully, in their next game, Cooper Kupp will play after. Hopefully, crossing our fingers here. Moving on, we got Cade Otton. Oh, sorry. That's the end of our wide receiver. We're going to tight ends. Jumped ahead of myself here. Now, Cade Otton. My apologies. Cade Otton, this, tight ends once again is like this sort of void, like death space right now. Highly recommend, take everything with a grain of salt here. Got Cade Otton, 15% ownership on fantasy on Yahoo. Going up against the Atlanta Falcons, he caught 6 of his 9 targets for 52 yards. I mean, the stat line's serviceable, especially right now. Consistency is actually what you want here. He's pretty much available in a lot of leagues. I would maybe consider it. There's a chance. I'm more interested in this next guy that we're going to talk about for other reasons, but I wouldn't blame you for considering Cade Otton. I mean, at this point, you're happy if you get 6 or 7 points. Moving on to Tucker Kraft, our last tight end we're going to talk about. Tucker Kraft is currently in 4% ownership of fantasy leagues on Yahoo, going up against the LA Rams. He caught 6 catches on 9 targets, as well, same as Cade Otton, for 54 yards and 1 touchdown and had 1 fumble. He kind of exploded a bit these past couple weeks here. Definitely proving to be kind of, there's a lot of competition, or talks, I should say, between is Luke Musgrave the guy or is Tucker Kraft the guy on that Packers offense. It's looking like Tucker Kraft might be the number 1 there. Maybe. I would pick him up and stash him. This could be this is a little late to make it because Sam Laporta kind of entered in really aggressively, but this could end up being a Sam Laporta-esque sort of move where, Tucker Kraft, has a harder road to get there, I think, in a sense, but definitely has the potential where it's some random waiver wire guy you're going to pick up. No one drafted Sam Laporta, more than likely. You pick him up on the waiver wire. Maybe he matures through. There's a chance. There's definitely a chance there for Tucker Kraft to kind of flesh out a role, especially now with Christian Watson gone. Once again, same thing with Octavian Wicks. They need to diversify where the targets are going. That's kind of the strength of that offense with Jordan Love. So Tucker Kraft might just be the guy to go to there. So definitely take a chance at him. I'm throwing at least personally, if I'm in a fab league, there's, especially depending on who my tight end is, I'm throwing maybe $10 on him. I have high hopes that he might end up being a guy that could consistently get you, hopefully, the 7 to 10 points that you need to win week in, week out. Moving on, now that we have that all said and done, that's all of our roster slots there for our waiver wire, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. We're going to head over to our defensive streamers. We're moving them over to the waiver wire show now. We got 4 defenses for you to take a look at. We got a kind of swap maneuver. I got Raiders versus Broncos and Broncos versus Raiders for very obvious reasons. Raiders versus Broncos because, Bo Nix, well, yeah, he said the flashes, he looked good. I'm still not sold yet. Not yet. We got to wait to see. I'm willing to take that risk. On the other hand, Broncos versus Raiders without Devontae Adams, with tension seeming to be weird right now in that camp, I think this is a safe bet to score you some easy fantasy points. Next up, we got the Patriots versus Miami. Tyler Huntley, it's not him, more than likely. I think this is a pretty safe pickup going into a decent Patriots defense. And then I got the Commanders versus the Browns. Picking up the Commanders defense going up against Deshaun Watson, who has not looked fantastic. Definitely, looked pretty good against the Giants for a little bit until it all kind of fell apart. So I would definitely be looking into the Commanders defense at the very least. It seems that offense has a tendency to kind of stall out in a sense. If you have the Browns defense, I would put them up against the Commanders, but more than likely than not, the Browns defense is likely picked up in your league. But with that being said, that is our waiver wire show for this week. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it. Please like, subscribe, follow, share, whatever the case may be, whatever platform you're watching this on right now. And please be on the lookout for more content. We got our show up and coming very soon on Wednesday as well. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, have a good night, and I wish you the best of luck in your waiver wire.